Hello and welcome, and like always, everything is within your own risk, own reward. This video is going to focus on Litecoin Cash. I'm basically going to go over the step-by-step process of what I am planning on doing within such, and your own risk, own reward, like always. And when I say that, I on the opposite end, do what I think a lot of you guys are doing, and that's tailing the information in which other people present. I was on Sportsbook Review. Peter Loshak came out with some NBA analyses, and I wrote my notes down. NCAA picks in here. Quite a few notes that I wrote down. I will be making a few $100s worth of bets amongst these selections today. Of course, in the Bitcoin and priced in Bitcoin, or wagered amongst Bitcoin. All right, so here we see Litecoin Cash on the 5-minute time frame dipping above and below the 0.02 handle against the cross, against the US dollar, currently priced at $215.80. There's a situation, you can call this the cup or double bottoms, or however you want to do it, but band going down. There's your roller coaster now going sideways and back up. That's just how this game is played. It's at an area where, okay, do you buy now? No, unless of course you're long-term playing, and you're at this level of resistance, but you're just at that level of resistance because it extends all the way up to about 218. And if it gets past that, now you're talking about the previous level of its higher band, which is between 223 and about 230. Okay. So again, this is about Litecoin Cash. So I'm going to bring up my chalkboard and go over the steps that I plan on doing. Now my cryptos are on 5 hardware wallets. So therefore, what I plan on doing is transferring all the funds to one of the Nano S ledgers. And they will have all of the funds. Then what I can do is I'm going to need to I'm going to get the private keys for all of them. So what I would do is put a 24 code in, and then of course get the Litecoin private key, which I will later use to get, of course, the LCC. Therefore, when doing such, what I'll need to do is take one of those nano ledgers that would have already been exhausted in funds, and I would already know its private key. And then what I would do is simply make a new account with one of them, and then move all those funds over again to that account. Now, probably with Bitcoin and the other ones, well, definitely the Bitcoin where the transfer fees are high, I'll figure a way for that out. That'll be easy. And when I do such, so I go to the website where I put the 24 words in. What I will do at that point is turn off the internet. I don't think it would make a difference anyway, but there's no difference whether I have the internet on or off for my results, because in case, and I don't think it's happening, in case there's anyone being able to hack within the computers, then they would have access to my Litecoin Cash and Litecoin Cash only. So I don't want that to be the case. So I turn it off. I then would copy and paste the private key into a notepad file. I would then save that file and move the file over to a wallet, not a wallet, but a USB drive, whatever you want to call those things. So those would be in a USB drive, and then I would delete the text file and then reconnect myself back to the internet and do this for each of the individual wallets. So at this stage now, I would have all of the private keys on a file, and I would have all of the cryptos of all of them in one ledger, of course written down within a piece of paper who owns what, so I can transfer it back equivalency. So the next step. So what I would do is I would get an old computer, and I have access to a couple, and they're also easy to get as well in this world, for me anyway. An old computer with no care in any type of hacker information, any type of your bank accounts, definitely your cryptos, any of that type of stuff. There's nothing they're going to get because you're going to be installing the software. I'm only going to be using this one time and never use it again. So why do I want to use it on a computer that is very important to me? It's really not going to make any difference in the world. It might be slower to do everything because obviously the computers within all of us that we use on a regular basis are faster, and we're not going to use those. So yeah, it might take a little bit of time, but that's worth it for protectionary purposes. So I install the Litecoin Cash on that wallet, or on that computer. So install that wallet, that is. And then one by one, add the 5 private keys towards that wallet. And then from what I heard on the JSNIP 4, it's going to be a lot like getting the official Litecoin wallet that I did. It takes several hours to just go through all of the data. And on a slower computer, it could even take longer. And I might have to do that 5 different times. So it could take several days to get them all. But you know what? That's what it is. Just let the computer do its thing with nothing else going on. No big whoop. So that's how I would do it. So when the Litecoin Cash are there, I can then move it to whatever exchange at the time would be available. Right now it's only on Yobit and you can't even move it there. But when you're talking about as we end the month of February into the month of March, there could very easily be the other exchanges like Bittrex having it. And don't even be surprised if Bittrex gives you your Litecoin Cash. I think I'm going to get about, I don't know, I had anywhere between 20 to 35 Litecoin on Bittrex during the fork, so I should get anywhere between 200 to 350 if that in fact happens. I'm not saying it will, I just wouldn't be surprised if later on during the fact that it does go down and people on that site do get it. Now as far as other exchanges, I don't know. I found it very interesting because on the coin exchange site, the morning of the fork, there was a lot of people eager to buy on that site. It was very interesting, and I look at that exchange and see if there are discrepancies, and I take advantage of such. So I was able to do a lot of buying and selling back and forth, where I was mainly selling on Coin Exchange and then buying them on Bittrex. So I had a lot more Litecoin on Bittrex because I was just buying like mad there that morning, and of course I moved them back and forth and such. But yeah, that's what I would do, is move them to the exchanges and then sell them, and I most likely would have to sell it for Bitcoin. But that's not what I'm going to want with my quote-unquote dividend, because that's how I see these forks. The free coins I get is like a dividend, very similar to dividends in stocks. So I buy more Litecoin, and then I move them to each family member's wallet. Now what I wouldn't do is buy them on whichever exchange and then send this many Litecoin from Bittrex to this wallet, then this amount to this wallet, this amount to this wallet. That would be dumb. Rather, I'll just go to one of my main wallets and pay the 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents, and I could even do one full transaction and send like 4 and 1. I haven't done it yet, actually. I've only done about well over 1,000 transfers within exchanges, and not quite as many within the hardware wallet, but a decent amount within the hardware. But I only ever do one at a time. But I see I can send to like 5, 6, 7, unlimited for the most part, different addresses at one given time. But that's what I'd probably do, is just send everyone their free Litecoins in which they are going to receive. And they're all on Litecoin because, well, obviously it's the best play. Now, as far as things like the Trezor wallet would be concerned, I wouldn't be surprised if later on you end up getting them within your account, as they would put in there, as it would be done in time. I would think it could be a little bit of a delay. I don't know. And I don't know if there's going to be any problems with these particular ones, because the 4 Nano Ledger ones are legacy accounts. So I think they're going to be just as easy as clear with those ones. I don't have a legacy account on my Trezor wallet. I have the legacy one. So I'll be very curious to see how that is going to go down. I'm still going to be doing some research furthermore over the next little while on the internet regarding the process. But again, as I explained, that does seem to be how the play is going to work out. And whenever you're making any type of big decisions in life, especially keyword big decisions with decent amount of financial, any good risk, if you think about it, look at all the different scenarios that are possible. The more you think and analyze the situation, the better off you're always going to be, I feel, within such. Okay, let's continue on further within some Litecoin technical analysis while we're here. And we'll take a look at the longer term time frame with the Litecoin against the US dollar, which we can see just on this time frame when we see the analysis as such. So we've got this downward move, correctionary possibility here, not quite. Band did flatten out, resistance was established, it came back to the band, and it went down lower. Failed breakout, fast move to the downside, and a really big fast move down. And then it has this correctionary move to the 18, its first resistance test. You always expect a lower high after a move of this magnitude. You did get a lower high, but you made a higher low. Band remained flat, matching low with the band still flat. Small rally attempt, but that didn't do much to change the band within its situation. But its test in here, we can see when you're talking about flunking an exam, you flunk. That's a fail. And as it broke down the support, fast move to the downside. So this was a kick-ass move, we'll call it. Okay, that never means when you see this that it's going to be a bottom, but it's definitely an alert sign. In this case, it obviously had a decent leg higher, so we'll call it a bottom. But at the time, you can never know that. There's your 18 average test. And this is what I mentioned about stop losses, where they can be hurtful. Anyone who stopped out after a break of this support was not successful. However, if you had to stop in here, as long as you were alert with the market, you're able to get back after a nice leg lower. Well, this case wins. This case loses. Maybe breaks even too, depending on where you stop. But realistically, I just don't see why, if you're selling here, you would buy here. That just doesn't make any sense. So continuing further, I'm going to remove the drawing tools and then continue drawing as I move further. But we're going to now start within the rally from the 6th moving forward. You have another move within the 18. You're at least at this stage having the price and decent volatility, having it do a just settling down, because it's stopping the downtrend. It did a good job of establishing resistance in along this area. It had time to notice a very good uptrend line, the 18 average of highs, having a good move. This test in the correctionary move was a pass. Then on the break of a key level, had a very good leg to the upside. As far as the resistance you would see, you'd be talking about going up towards here. And that area has only been at best so far during this run a level of support for that's where it supported here, a little bit here, and as we stand right now, and here. And at the upper end of that area is where it is supporting. Now, as we continue on further within this market from that beautiful leg higher, we've had some resistance levels established, these two levels that I've drawn in. And as I stated in the 2.5 minute warning video this morning, And I have seen this pattern dozens and dozens of times throughout the years. This is very common in the stock market game, to have a move like this, breaking, and it can happen either bullish or bearish, either side, so you can reverse it, it does the same. And you end up getting a failed move to the downside. I mean, that's just the basics: failed move, fast move. It's very much normal, but it hasn't shown any reason for the move yet until it breaks support. But I have seen on several occasions a situation where you have something where the market looks like as it does now. Say a few periods roll on as we head into maybe the 23rd or 24th, and then price breaks down below here. But what I've seen happen on so many occasions, and I talked about this a lot in 2017 about the Bitcoin market, is it would have a move down like this and then have a fast move back into this area and create the ultimate failed move, fast move situation. And then as a trader, it makes it very difficult if you happen to be viewing the market, having stops go through, or just being alert and selling as it's a good sell time indicator, in trying to get back without having a losing play. That becomes very, very difficult. So it's definitely the reason when you see this, there is your prelude indicator to what could be, of course, that breakdown to the downside. And like I state, that's if support ends up failing. The more likely you test a level of support, the more likely it is you take it out. But if it doesn't, now we start to talk about how we're just at the bottom end of what is a sideways moving market, a bull flag as someone mentioned it, and the lower end of a support area on a sideways market. That's of course where you do not sell, that's where you buy, if that's of course what the message is. This level of resistance was key for the first start of it, so it expands the band. So we're looking at around 230 high change to about 250 low change, so about a $15 range in here, 238 to about 252. Well, what happens if it gets by this level? Well, I can use indicators like mathematical Fibonacci in here and take a look at what the high was. And I've already calculated this is a 61.8% level. So this thing would be basically off to full bull market gear after you see a situation like this. When you look at just a market correction, it's almost a way of looking at getting energy in like a race situation. You're running not a sprint, you're running a marathon, but assuming it's a power super marathon where you've got to have breaks here and there, those whom can effectively give them the best they can within the time allocated on break situation, so that they will be best allocated to dominate the race, is sort of how I look at it as. So you get a little bit of water, you take a very quick power nap, just those little types of things. You do what you need to get your energy mojo at a high level, and then you just take off again. And I really like saying that because you just don't do much for a while, then you go, which is why we see all these big green candles and such. That's what these markets do. They go up fast, and that's why I like to use that analysis of a comparison type of deal. And to finish off this video, there's something I've been thinking about. Just imagine you had the opportunity to where you won like a game show kind of deal. You won a safe. But the rule, the kicker, if you will, is you are not allowed to open the safe for 3 years. You can say you win $1 million. You can put $1 million of whatever you want in there, but after you're done, say at the end of, say, January 1st, 2021, you can open it up. As far as cryptocurrencies are concerned, you can put a hardware wallet in there and have whichever cryptos you like in there. Would you choose to have some sort of large diversified portfolio? Okay, so be it. Would you like to put some gold and silver in there? Well, you're going to be limited to the size of the safe, but I'll give you a decent size. We'll say it's the size of, you could fit maybe a couple thousand ounces of silver. That'll be the size of the safe. Size of two monster boxes. So a decent size safe. So you can put a lot of different things in there. Myself, I would probably think, what else do I really want to put in there other than Litecoin and silver? As I see this price right now at 211. And when I think about this more in a long-term time frame, I'm looking at Litecoin from early infancy days, moving from in the $20 range, going down to $4 and up to 200. One might say, you're crazy to get into Litecoin. It's been up so much that it's going to have to go down. You talk about this gap fill stuff, and well, once it breaks this 18 lows, we're talking about $40 and $15 Litecoin. That could be also one thought. I also look at the early infancy days of things like Bitcoin. And I'm going to take a look at the yesteryear's days of Bitcoin from when it was 6 cents in 2010. And I knew about Bitcoin back in here. I did. I knew about it. I was very anti-Bitcoin back then. But look at all this gap fill in here. We can come back to 28. We can come back to 370. We can come back to 50 cents. So here we have Bitcoin at 137. Currently trading almost 10 times higher than that. And it already had a decent run at that point. Okay. Something to keep aware of and note for historical purposes. Because the way I look at it is this. We got LitePay coming out. And you know what? I'm getting very pumped for within these 5 hardware wallets of 5 individuals in our family who have cryptocurrencies to add 5 LitePay cards available. A way of using cryptocurrency as money. I would buy things with Bitcoin, things like precious metals and other miscellaneous stuff, and they let you buy with Litecoin instead of Bitcoin. I've noticed in these early days, which is end of last year, well, basically this year, buying with Litecoin is so much more better. It is better because the fees to send are pennies rather than dollars, 3 cents compared to $3 type differential. Okay. It's also got a much faster processing time. Every time I buy silver in the past with Bitcoin, I would put my address in and put all that stuff in and do your normal thing and send, and I'd have to wait several minutes, even 6, 7, 8 times for it to go through. If you've ever seen when you're buying, and I've been asked recently, where do I buy silver in Canada? silvergoldbull.ca. If you've never bought from them before, they do allow a 10-ounce bar for spot price on their page. It's a nice bar. It's a Sunshine Mint bar that they have their logo on. But when buying with them, they have a situation where you have like 15 minutes or 10 minutes to place your order. So it gives you enough time to copy the address, paste the amount in, and push the send button. It doesn't take too long to do such. But after doing it, I've actually had the timer run out on me and no confirmation. I'm like, oh my goodness. But it actually still worked for me. Several minutes after the fact, it seemed that the payment went through and I ended up getting my silver. But with Litecoin, I push the send button and I only have to wait seconds before I see a check mark on my computer screen that says payment received. Now, interestingly, though, when I did start, though, my very first ever time I bought from Coinbase, and Coinbase was the site that I originally used as my main base crypto account. Don't do that anymore because of the hardware wallet. But what I would do in buying silver from there is I would do it and literally instantly they got the check mark. But that stopped, which was really weird. Anyway, that is this video. If this thing has like 100x gain from here, does that mathematically make sense to go to 20 grand? Isn't that like too high? I mean, technically speaking, 100x gain is from here to here. And when I say that much of a move, that's a decent amount of time, like a dozen, 2 or 3 months. That's sad to say, but happy to say. But for a move to 20,000, well, if we hear people like John McAfee and so many other Bitcoin people talking about anywhere between $250,000 to even $1 million Bitcoin prices. If it's $250,000 and the Litecoin ratio, which Webbot is stated to go to 5 to 1, that's what the ratio of coins is around as well. But even if it was 10 to 1 or 0.1 on the exchange, 250,000 Bitcoin would equate to $25,000 Litecoin, and there's better than a 100x gain from where we stand. So it's an interesting spot as the potential gains that these cryptocurrencies have had and can remain to have to portray life-changing amount of money. I got one final topic I want to go over, then I'm going to end this video. If you're like myself and you're a trader knowing how to outperform a market, if you would have told me back in here that Litecoin is going to be awesome, but it's going to take some time, how much would I make? For all I would be doing in here is trading along the side and increasing my Litecoin portfolio. This was a time when it did very poorly against Bitcoin. And I think I could have increased a decent amount. Now what I know for sure is I would have a fraction now than I did back then, because I would have sold some here and frustratingly not get much of it back. Sold some of it here, getting very little bit of it back. And within such, I would probably have developed a decent amount of Bitcoin size holdings and such as well. But if you're sitting here, well, let's put it this way. If you're sitting here with, let's just say $200, when you're at the exact same price pivot point here before the breakout, given that you're trading back and forth, it should have been a no-brainer that you should be at least at $2,500. And when I say that is generously low, to only outperform the market 12 times in over a year. But let's just say that's all you did. So you turned 200 into 2,500 when Litecoin was $4.20. Then you get to this point in here when Litecoin is 58. So at this stage here, you've pretty much done better than double. So we could even say that, and this is why I think you would have done a lot better than go from 200 to 25. But you would turn 2,500 into, like, say, well, say by this point here, you should be over 50K. And then you go from 40, and now you'd be at 200. Well, now you're over 200K, but even by outperforming the market a little bit. And these, generally speaking, I could say if you're at 200, you could easily have been at, like, say, 10,000 here, realistically speaking. When you have, and I'm talking 10,000 down here. So then going from here to here should put you at about, say, in here maybe 250,000. And then bringing this up, you should easily at least around 1.5 to 2 million, starting with 200. Because again, all of this time is just buying and selling Litecoin against different things, making sure you have a large sample size of it, day trading other coins against Bitcoin, but always having a primary focus to make sure you have a large holding of these, so that when these moves happen, you would have substantial gains. All right then, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a magnificent day. Bye-bye.